What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Rezolve AI. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down, what's moving it, and the next big catalyst for Rezolve. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Rezolve is kind of red right now, slightly 0.1%, nothing too crazy. 277 the high, 262 the low. First thing, it was up about 2.8%, piggybacking off of the Palantir hype. So Palantir put out their earnings, absolutely on point, and Wall Street was really looking at Palantir's earnings with a fine-tooth comb because last week we did have Microsoft put out their earnings, as I've mentioned in previous videos, and their future guidance wasn't the greatest. So this is where we had a lot of fear about AI bubbles and many things like that. Palantir, again, all eyes were going to be on Palantir to kind of double down on that fear or hopefully calm the market. And luckily enough, the latter did happen. So that's why Rezolve did move up a little bit. But then we kind of had that little bit of a dip. So I think just Rezolve overall is going to be a little bit more volatile over the next little bit because there also seems to be a market rotation starting to occur. This is why we're experiencing fairly low volume. So Rezolve's getting about 7.4 million shares being traded right now. So kind of on the low end. As far as kind of news, there really hasn't been that much data points. So we were supposed to have Jolt numbers today, but because of the whole shutdown, they are kind of on pause. So something, again, just to keep in mind. There really hasn't been that much in news from Rezolve for today. Last news came out on the 29th. Nothing really posted on social media either. So I feel like Rezolve right now is just kind of stuck in limbo. And so a lot of investors are looking for the next big catalyst. Rezolve has talked a big game, so now people are just waiting for them to kind of see if that comes to fruition or not. So in reality, the next big catalyst, most likely in chronological order, is going to be their upcoming earnings, the end of March, early April, and then following that, probably very close to that, is going to be their American expansion. So that could be a pretty good catalyst as well. That could help Rezolve move higher. At the same time, I've kind of noticed that Rezolve does trade now with cryptocurrency because Rezolve for right now is very integrated. So they kind of have a lot of different moving parts and a lot of businesses linked to, whether that be Tether and a lot of other kind of altcoins. So I think just right now with cryptocurrency really rallying and moving higher today, Rezolve's kind of piggybacking off of that at the same time. But one thing that I have noticed though that might cause a little bit of fear in the market is silver is up 11.54% and then gold is up 5.8. So still kind of does signal, if you read between the lines, that there's a certain level of fear in the broader market. But like I said, nothing official from Rezolve as of late. So I think all in all, Rezolve's doing fairly well. Regarding shorts, they are increasing 277,000 shares. 12.7% of the free floats being shorted, works to be 27.5 million shares overall being shorted. So the fact that shorts aren't doubling down, in my opinion, is pretty optimistic because they could easily double and triple down because cost to borrow is 2.81%. So it's been kind of around that range for a while now. And that's not high at all. That is a annual rate, not a daily rate. But aside from that though, looking at the options, 175,000 in calls, 78,000 in puts. So kind of matches with the overall low common stock volume. 55% of all the options being done though are bullish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around 3. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 250. And this is one thing I really don't like about stocks that have a low share price, because kind of it's hard to analyze these options because you have a pretty wide spread between the strike prices. So it's kind of either 250 or 3. So it's rather unfortunate. So let me know your thoughts on that. But as far as right now, there's not really that much going on either the secondary market or the dark pool. Dark pool primarily used by shorts and hedge funds. But on the secondary market, we have one transaction. It is a sell for 628,000. Dark pool, some transactions, but it kind of matches with shorts not really doing all that much. We have a couple hold numbers, so 50,000, 40,000, that's more commonly hedge funds. Aside from that, with it at 270, it is trading between this pivot and this S1, so 254 and 278 is going to be the next strong support and target. And in reality, like it kind of bounced off that 278, I believe, a couple times over the last couple of weeks. So that is going to be a pretty strong resistance point. So just kind of watch for that overall. But nonetheless, on the actual chart itself, it's like I said, kind of showing some nice recovery on the intraday. On the daily, not the greatest. So it is below a lot of the key pivotal moving averages that I like to look at. So the 50, 10, 100, and 200. So right now it's kind of below all of them. That 248 did bounce off of that back in December, so that's going to be again another element to watch for, a good support level. But I think Rezolve is ready to at least retest that 10-day moving average, because it's fallen quite a lot over the last little bit. So for instance, where it is now to even, let's say, about 2 weeks ago, right over here, it fell 41.76%. So I get that there's a lot of fear associated to Rezolve, but I think that's rather extreme if you ask me. One thing to take note of though is that based on the market position, you see a lot more willing buyers. So but they're more oriented towards around that 250 range. So you have a lot of good support at that stage. So something to keep in mind. Nothing really coming out from any analysts. The last one was on January the 22nd, but still, as I've mentioned, I'm not really a fan of any of these firms. They're all B grade and kind of have some benefit, their own personal gain to giving good ratings, because Rezolve has participated in all of these fireside chats that they've done, so I don't really pay attention to these all that much. If a big firm, as I've mentioned, kind of looked at Rezolve and gave a rating, whether that be like TD, JPM, Bank of America, those kind of ones, then maybe big money might actually start paying attention to Rezolve a lot more. But as far as right now, we are kind of stuck to the B grade firms, and there similarly hasn't really been that much in articles really talking about Rezolve. So let me know your thoughts on Rezolve. Do you think that there's any other like catalyst coming out aside from their upcoming earnings, or just expansion? Because I know they mentioned Q2 is going to be American expansion, and I believe it was Q3 that's going to be further European expansion. So that's kind of interesting. So let me know your thoughts on Rezolve. Are you buying, selling, holding? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Despite what's happening in the broader market, many of my kind of signals and targets just hit. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.